In an explosive new interview with Time magazine, Donald Trump has doubled down on his intentions to force the annexation of Canada as the 51st state of the United States. Trump didn't unveil a new idea during the Time interview. He doubled down on a controversial ambition he's hinted at before, turning Canada into America's 51st state. "I'm really not trolling," he insisted, brushing off any suggestion that he was joking. Reviving a proposal that has stirred outrage in the past, Trump declared, "We're taking care of their military. We're taking care of every aspect of their lives. And we don't need them to make cars for us. In fact, we don't want them to make cars for us. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything from Canada. And I say the only way this thing really works is for Canada to become a state." Throughout his political career, Trump has framed Canada as more of a burden than a partner. And now he's making it clear that annexation isn't a passing thought, but a core part of his vision. He even went as far as to say he wouldn't mind if adding new territory became a defining part of his presidential legacy. The clash between the US and Canada has been brewing for months. It all started when Justin Trudeau was still Prime Minister. Relations began to sour under the pressure of a bitter tariff war, with Trump slapping heavy tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, and even timber. Canada fought back with its own countermeasures, targeting American goods like bourbon, ketchup, and even US farm equipment. Halifax, the message was clear: Canada would not be bullied. Public figures quickly rallied around the flag. Prime Minister Mark Carney stated bluntly, "Canada's sovereignty is not negotiable. Not today, not ever." Even opposition leaders, often critical of Carney's government, closed ranks. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre warned that Trump's rhetoric was an unacceptable assault on our national dignity, while new Democratic Party leader Jagmeet Singh called the annexation idea an outrageous threat that must be firmly rejected by all Canadians. This wave of nationalist sentiment has also become a defining issue in Canada's electoral process, which wraps up on April 28th. The stakes couldn't be higher. Early polls suggest that the sudden external pressure has reshaped the political battlefield. Parties seen as strong defenders of Canadian sovereignty, especially the ruling Liberals and even nationalist-leaning factions in Quebec, appear to be gaining momentum. Analysts predict that Trump's escalation could drive higher voter turnout, particularly among younger Canadians and first-time voters, many of whom are rallying around the defense of national identity. Meanwhile, candidates perceived as favoring closer ties to Washington without strong safeguards are facing growing scrutiny, with several races tightening dramatically in just the past few days. In short, Trump's aggressive comments may have unintentionally unified Canadians and changed the outcome of their election. After Trudeau resigned earlier this year, Mark Carney, a former central banker and a steady political hand, took over as Prime Minister. At first, there was a cautious hope that the worst was over. Trump seemed to tone down his rhetoric toward Canada, leading many to speculate that maybe his anger had been personal, aimed directly at Trudeau. Maybe, just maybe, a new era of diplomacy was on the horizon. But that hope has just been shattered. Trump's fresh interview with Time makes it clear. His ambitions have not cooled. If anything, they've grown bolder. His vow to pursue Canada's annexation is not only a massive escalation, it's a political earthquake that will be felt in Sunday's Canadian elections and beyond. In response, Canada is digging in its heels. Prime Minister Carney has already announced sweeping new defense and trade policies to counter Trump's moves. Ottawa is expanding military partnerships with NATO allies, strengthening economic ties with Europe and South America, and actively seeking new trade agreements across Asia. Carney declared in a fiery speech yesterday, "Canada's future will be decided by Canadians and no one else." The long-term consequences of this growing rift could reshape the entire geopolitical map of North America. Canada, long seen as America's closest ally, is now looking outward, forging new alliances that could tilt the global balance of power. One thing is clear, this isn't just a trade war anymore. It's a battle over the future of two nations, and the world is watching. Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started.